is Carla and welcome back to the studio, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Throwback Thursday. So for this Thursday, I will be featuring the Easter message stamp set. Since Easter is at the end of March this year, I am, for my Thursdays and for my Friday videos, I will be featuring Easter stamp sets or bundles. So for this one, it's just this stamp set. For one of the cards that I'll be doing, I will also be bringing in another stamp set to go along with this. So to get started, for my first card, I have a piece of Pear Pizzazz cardstock. This measures 8.5 by 5.5, and I have it scored at 4 1/4. I have a piece of Saffron. This measures 5 1/4 by 4, and then I have a scrap of basic white. So I'm going to start off with folding and burnishing my card base. Pear Pizzazz is a really nice, like muted type of green, light green. I really like that color, and it was a color that I was sad to see go. And Saffron is another color that retired, and that just pairs very well with it. So for this Saffron piece, what I'm going to do is I'm going to emboss it, and I'm bringing in my Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to set it aside because we'll be doing the embossing. Well, no, actually, I'm going to stamp on that first, but I'll be doing all my embossing and die cutting at the same time. So I'm going to set that aside. Okay, so on my piece of Saffron, I'm going to bring in my garden green ink, and I'm going to bring in the greeting from that stamp set that says, "He is not here, he has risen." Pull up my sleeves as we get going on this. So I am going to ink this up, and I'm going to stamp that right down on the bottom here in the middle. Okay, and we're done with that, and we can close up this ink. So I'm going to now I will set this aside and we'll emboss that piece here in a moment. Then I'm going to bring in my basic gray ink and my piece of basic white, and I'm going to bring in this stamped image of the lilies, and I'm going to stamp this in the middle of my cardstock. I'm going to ink this up really well, and then I'm just going to stamp this in the middle like so. Okay, so we got that. So for this piece, what I'm going to do is I'm going to color this in with my Stampin' Blends. Now this is going to be the part where I'm going to speed it up. So for my flowers, I'm going to be using the dark and the light Old Olive, the dark Saffron, the light gray Granite, and the Color Lifter Stampin' Blends. Then after I color that in, I will be using this die here, and this die comes from the Stitched Shapes set of dies. So we'll put that aside for the time being. Just kind of move some stuff out of the way. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I'll be right back. I'm sorry, I can't talk. So I am going to color this in first, and then I will go ahead and die cut it, and I will also emboss this piece of Saffron, and I will be right back. Okay, so let me bring in our pieces. So I'm going to bring in my seal, and I'm going to adhere this embossed piece of So Saffron onto my card base. I'm going to center that on there, like so. And then on my piece here with the lily, I'm going to bring in, let's see, do I have, let's see, I got some edge pieces here left over on these dimensionals. I'll use these up. Edge pieces are just as good as the other ones. So let's see, do I got another sheet started here? Yes, I do. Okay, so then I'm going to take just a couple more without the paper backing on it. And I'll add 2 more right there. And let's see, I'll put 1 more in the middle. Okay. Alright, let's kind of get some of the stuff out of the way. Starting to feel like I'm getting a little bit closed in with everything. So I'm going to take these paper backings off. Okay, and then I'm going to center this like so. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my Stella pen. And I'm going to just color over these lilies. Just to add some sparkle to them. Okay, and then this part here, it's not actually a leaf, but it's actually a bud. So I'm going to add some Stella onto that. So when I colored that in, I did color it with the light old olive Stampin' Blend, but I did go over it with the color lifter to lighten it up. And this Stella is about to the end. I mean, there's still a little bit left in there. Okay. Alright, so it looks like we are good with that. Okay, and then I'm also going to bring in the Iridescent Pearls Basic Jewels, and I just have these little ones on this sheet. There are larger ones, but I've used them all. So I'm just going to use these smaller ones. And I'm going to place a few around my die cut piece. And then 1 more right up here. Okay, so there is our first card. I don't know if you can see the Stella on those flowers, but there you go. There's our first card. On to our second. Okay, so for my second card, we're going to be doing some more coloring, and we'll also be doing some fussy cutting. So to start off, I have a piece of basic white thick. This measures 8.5 by 5.5, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. I have another piece of basic white. This is just a regular basic white, measuring 4 1/4 by 4. And then I have another piece of basic white that is a scrap that I will be stamping on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with stamping first. So then that way I give this ink a little bit time to dry, so then I can go and color without smearing the ink. So I'm going to bring in this cross image, and I'm going to ink this up. I'm going to ink it up really well, and I'm going to stamp up near the top. Hold it there for just a moment. Okay, and then I want on this cloth part here, I just want to stamp this part here that drapes over the front of the cross. That portion, what I'm going to do is I'm going to color that in, and I'm going to fussy cut it. So I'm going to add some dimension just on that front part there. So I'm going to stamp that about here. And because there's no dies that coordinate with the stamp set, so I'm not going to worry about if it's too close, because I'll be cutting right on, well, yeah, I'll be cutting on the lines on this rather than leaving a border on it. Okay, so I'm done doing that part. I'm going to set that aside, let that dry. And then, let's see, I'm going to move this aside. Now on this piece of basic white, I have the greeting that says Happy Easter, and I'm going to stamp that using Perfect Plum ink, and I'm going to ink this up. Now I have lined this greeting up on my block, lining it up with the straight edge on the bottom. I'm going to ink this up. Make sure I got it inked up pretty good. Okay, and then I'm going to stamp this. I'm going to make sure that my paper's straight. And I'm going to stamp that right up in the top here in the middle. And hopefully I do have it straight. Okay, that looks good. Put that aside. Now, another stamp set that I am also going to use for this card, it's going to be for the background. So let me clean off this stamp because I'm going to need this bigger block. Okay, let me set this aside. Now the other stamp set that I am using, let me move this out of the way. So the other stamp set that I'm also going to be using is Ocean Front. I'm going to be using this image right here. I'm going to create the sunset for behind my cross. Okay, so I'm going to start with Daffodil Delight, and then I'm going to bring that scrap paper back in because I'm going to be stamping off, so we don't want it to be really dark in the background. Now on this stamp, if you can see, I don't know how well you can see it on in the camera, but if you look at it, you'll see that it looks like there's a gradient in the design, so it looks darker up here and lighter down here. So what I want to do is, for my Daffodil Delight, I want the darker on the bottom. So I'm going to ink this up really well. And then I'm going to stamp off. And then I'm going to come in and stamp that about there. Okay. And then I'm going to clean this stamp really quickly. I think I stamped it upside down because I wanted the darker on the bottom. Okay, well, it's no biggie. It'll still all work out. I know that we got two sides of the cardstock, but then I'd have to stamp my greeting as well. Okay, so let me turn this around. This looks like it's the darker part up here. And I'm going to ink up using the Perfect Plum. Ink that up really well. I'm going to stamp this off as well. And then I'm going to come in and stamp that right below that Daffodil Delight. That aside. And actually, we're done with the ink, so let me go ahead and close these up. Okay. So there we go. And we'll set those stamps aside. Okay, so let me take my card base now and let me go ahead and fold and burnish that. Okay, and then I'm going to take this piece that I stamped and I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of this. And I'm going to place that on my card base. I'm just going to center it on my card base. Okay. Now I'm going to set this aside. Okay, so for this part, I'm going to speed it up, but let me explain what I am going to do first. So I have my scrap paper here. Let me just turn this inside out. So when I color this, the blends that I'm going to be using is the light and dark soft suede, the ivory, and the color luster. So on my images, I will be coloring this whole image in here. And then on this partial one, I'm just going to color this portion of this wrap right here. Okay, so, oh, and then after I'll go and I'll color it, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so in coloring this, I realized that this part here on the cross, I didn't have to color it because this piece right here that I colored is going to be covering that. So on this piece, so it's all colored in. Now, I made mention, I think I may have made mention, that there's no dies to this stamp set, so I would need to fussy cut this. So ahead of time, I went ahead and I cut out the cross, and then I also cut out this piece that will layer over on the top right here. So let me set this aside and let me bring in my mini dimensionals and my take your pick tool. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a few just in spots so that way you can't see them once they're covered with this piece here. So up here, because that is pretty narrow, I'm going to cut a piece of the edging on here, and I'm going to place that right there. Okay, then I'm going to remove the backings to this. Okay, and then I'm going to place this right over it. So I want to line it up this side here and with this side, and then press it down. So here it gives it a little bit of dimension. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some more dimensionals to the back of this. So I'm going to add one right up here, do one in the middle, and we'll add one down here and up there. So we're adding a few more just so the ends stay down and nothing will get caught. Okay, and then I add one right about there, and I think we're pretty good if I put one right there. Okay, now let me bring in my card base, and we'll take these backings off. I have my little pop-up trash bin off to the side here. So I want to make mention that so this video is posting on Thursday, March 21st, and in 2 more days, on Saturday the 23rd, I will be holding an in-person class that will be featuring another Easter bundle. This is currently in our mini catalog. It's called Easter Lilies. So on my Facebook, not Facebook, oh my gosh, why did I say Facebook? On my Friday Night Live, I don't do Facebook Lives, I do YouTube. So on my Friday Night Live, I will be featuring this bundle, the Easter Lilies. But then on Saturday, the next day, I will be doing an in-person class. So if you are local to me here in Memphis, Tennessee, and you would like to join us, my email address is in the description of this video. Just send me an email and let me know that you're interested. Now the event, it is a free event. If you have like any of the crafting essentials, like a pair of scissors and the bone folder, and any type of adhesive that you like to use, whether it's like something like the stamp and seal or liquid glue. If you have that, just bring that. If not, then I do have some that I could let people use. But if you are interested, I still have some room for that class. Simply just send me an email and let me know that you're interested. And again, that's for those of you that are local to me here in Memphis, Tennessee. Okay, so I've added my dimensionals to the back of this and removed my paper backings. And then I'm going to place this about middle or so right there on my, what would be kind of like my sunset type of design. Okay, so then the next thing I want to do is I want to bring in these iridescent pearls, and I'm going to add 3 of those right down here in the bottom left hand corner of the area that I stamped that perfect plum, like so. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in the Wink of Stella again, and I'm just going to brush some on this wrap here. Yeah, it's near the end. I'm hoping that I can just get a little bit more out of it. So that class, again, like I mentioned, that it's going to be this coming Saturday, March 23rd at 11 a.m. and we'll go to about like 3 or 3:30. It is a free class right now. For my classes, I'm not charging, but at some point, if the classes get, bigger and larger, then yeah, I'll start charging, and it wouldn't be a large amount because I do want people to come. It's a time of just not, creating, but it's also some time, with others, enjoying, doing card making and paper crafting. And really the charge is really only for replenishing the cardstock and any of the embellishments and stuff that are being used. Okay, so I think I got it all. Let's see. Not really seeing any sparkle. Like I said, this Wink of Stella pen is kind of like on its way out. And I do have another one. I just have to pull it out. Okay, so that's good. We'll leave it at that. Okay, so we have done our 2 cards, so that's what our second one looks like. Got a little bit of dimension, and we did some fussy cutting on this one. And then here is our first one. This one just a little bit simpler as far as the coloring goes, and just die cutting and some embossing. So I thank you for joining me for this episode of Throwback Thursday. I will be back next Thursday. Let's see, next Thursday is the 28th, and I will be featuring another retired Easter set. I'm not sure at the moment which one I will be using, but I will be doing something that's Easter themed. I'll basically be doing all Easter for my Thursdays and Fridays up until Easter itself. And then on Easter, I'll have a special Easter holiday video that will feature 3 Easter projects. So if you had liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. It does help me in not only growing my channel, it helps, with the YouTube algorithm and all that. It gets my video out there in front of more people, and in return, that helps in not only building my channel, but also in growing my Stampin' Up! Business. So I thank you for joining me, and everyone, you have a blessed one. Bye-bye.